Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Bond Court is now in session.
Do you want Deputy Bush to bring him up right now, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
He's present now.
Okay. Mr. Ariola, can you hear and understand the interpreter?
Señor Arriola,
Sí,
¿puede usted escuchar y entender a la intérprete?
sí.
Yes.
This is your first appearance here.
Esta es su comparecencia inicial.
My name is Brad Gardner. I'm going to be the judge presiding over this hearing.
Mi nombre es Brad Gardner y yo voy a ser el juez que va a presidir en esta audiencia.
I'm not here to take a plea in your case or to have a trial in your case.
Yo no estoy acá para aceptar una declaración a cargos en su caso o para tener un juicio en su caso.
I'm here to tell you what you've been charged with,
Yo estoy acá para decirle de lo que se le acusa,
to set bond on those charges,
para fijarle fianza en esos cargos
and determine if you require the assistance of an attorney.
y determinar si usted requiere la asistencia de un abogado.
You've been charged with one count of simple possession of methamphetamine.
A usted se le acusa de un cargo de posesión simple de metanfetaminas.
This is a felony offense, and I'm setting the bond at $3,000.
Este es un delito grave y yo le voy a fijar la fianza a $3,000.
You've been charged with use or possession of drug-related objects, which is a misdemeanor.
A usted se le acusa de uso o posesión de artículos relacionados con las drogas y eso es un delito menor.
I'm setting the bond at $1,500.
Le voy a fijar esa fianza a $1,500.
You've also been charged with one count of possession of less than an ounce of marijuana, which is also a misdemeanor.
A usted también se le acusa de posesión de menos de 1 onza de marihuana, lo cual también es un delito menor.
Bond is going to be set at $1,500.
Y su fianza va a ser de $1,500.
You will have a preliminary hearing date set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning.
Usted va a tener su audiencia preliminar fija para el día 6 de julio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
That date will get waived upon your bonding out.
Y esa audiencia se cancela tan pronto usted pague su fianza y salga.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of an attorney?
¿Quiere usted que yo vea si usted califica para nombrarle un abogado?
Yes, I guess.
¿Perdón?
Sí, sí, se puede, sí.
Yes, if you can, please.
Are you currently working, sir?
Actualmente, ¿está usted trabajando, señor?
Yes, yes, yes.
Approximately how much do you make per hour?
12 hours.
You do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Okay.
Do you
Se
have any,
califica, señor, y le voy a nombrar un abogado para que lo represente.
Bueno,
do you have any questions for me?
no, sir.
Okay. He is free to go back. I think that completes your service with us today. Have a great weekend, Ms. Brunet.
Judge, if I may, I have 2 other names. I just need to make sure before I go.
Sure.
One is Mr. Carrillo.
Okay. Does Mr. Carrillo need an interpreter?
No, Your Honor, he declined to interpret.
Okay.
And the other one is Ms. Olivares Garcia.
Does Miss you said Olivares Garcia?
Garcia. Yes, sir.
Does Miss Olivares Garcia need an interpreter? That should be on the ladies' side, Deputy Requena. She's listed as Miss Elizabeth Olivares Garcia. Deputy Requena, can you hear me? Deputy Requena, on the ladies' side, are you guys over there?
On my end, it shows like the connection is unstable, Judge. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, they just dropped off.
Your Honor, let me step out of the room and raise him over the radio,
Okay.
and I'll ask him.
Okay, it looks like they just dropped off, and Ms. Bermudez was saying that it was showing that their connection was unstable.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be right back, Your Honor.
yes, sir. Ms. Bermudez, I hope you're keeping yourself cool during
Yes,
this heat
sir.
wave.
I'm doing the best I can. It's been rough.
Yeah. Deputy Requena, does Miss Garcia need the services of the interpreter?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Bermudez, you are free to go.
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get started with everyone else. Okay, there we go. Okay, good morning, everyone. This is your first appearance hearing for the Magistrate Court of Clayton County. My name is Brad Gardner, and I'm a judge in this court. I'm here to inform you of the charges that have been filed against you, to advise you of certain rights, to set bail on those offenses that I'm authorized to set bail, to schedule a preliminary hearing, and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney. You have the right to remain silent and say nothing, but should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you. So please don't discuss the facts of your case. During this and all other proceedings, you have the following rights: to the presumption of innocence, to indictment by a grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors, to a speedy and public trial by jury, to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you, to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf, to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense, to have an attorney represent you. If you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds for your release from jail. These bonds may be posted by cash, commercial, or property. Some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to certain places. You will also be prohibited from contacting the victim while you are in jail. If you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked and you could remain in jail until your trial. You could also receive additional felony charges. It is important to note that if someone is listed as a victim in your case, that person would not be allowed to post your bond. Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail. In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a judge of the Superior Court of Clayton County, and you will be informed of that date. If you're currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set bond at this time. Whether bond is appropriate in your case will be reconsidered after your probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest. The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you. The standard at this stage is very low. A judge determining whether a charge goes forward at this stage only has to determine that it is possible that the crime occurred. Everyone has the ability to waive their right to a preliminary hearing. However, you should speak to a lawyer first if you are unsure about whether it is appropriate to waive your preliminary hearing. If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is automatically waived. You'll receive notice at the address you give of your next court date. Before I get to the last part, I just want to say this, and I want everyone to hear and listen to me. You will have the opportunity to tell me whatever you want to tell me or ask me whatever you want to ask me as we go through your case at the end. So please don't interrupt, don't interject. Wait until I say the words, "Do you have any questions?" And then that is the time for you to then ask whatever you want to ask, and I will keep my mouth shut and I will listen to you. So, lastly, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm in the statements you give during this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God? Thank you. Let's switch over to the ladies' side and we'll begin with Miss Archie.
Come on up. Everybody sit down.
Miss Archie, ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of battery. That's a misdemeanor. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. You've been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. I've dismissed that charge. You've been charged with 1 count of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, which is also a misdemeanor, and the bond is going to be set at $3,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond, stay away from a Selwyn Archie Jr. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. Most likely it'll be by Zoom. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you will receive a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Can you repeat the last part you're on and the video cut it out?
Okay. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You said yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
Not right now.
Okay, you're free to go back, ma'am. Miss Conti?
Yes. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. You've been charged with one count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, simple possession amphetamine. That's, ma'am, that's what you're charged with. Are you telling me you're not charged with that?
That was no what in my bag. That was a pen that was wet, a pen tube that was wet. I was never using that pen. I don't even do that. I don't even do that type of drug, sir. I swear to God, and everything I love. That's not mine. I swear. That's what I tell the officer. It's just a pen that I had in my bag. That's not the right one, but the tube was wet, and then I just let it stay in my bag. That's not what I do. It's not mine.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Stop. Take a breath.
Just get through what you have to say.
That is what you are charged with. The state has the burden of proving that. Okay? Ma'am, ma'am. Stop. Take a breath. Listen. Okay? Can you do that? All right. This is simple possession charge. I've set a bond at $3,000 for that charge. You're also charged with use or possession of drug-related objects, which is also a misdemeanor. And I've set the bond at $1,500. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning. Courtroom 201, most likely it'll be by Zoom, but that date will get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yeah.
With the question of do you have a job, it looks like a check mark. Are you currently working, ma'am?
I do have.
Okay. I'm going to find that you qualify for the appointment of lawyer, ma'am, and I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me that are not related to the facts of your case?
No.
Okay, you're free to go back.
I go.
You too. Miss,
This is not mine.
Garcia.
Judge,
yes, ma'am.
how much was her bond again?
3,000 for the warrant number ending in 75 and 1,500 for the warrant number ending in 76.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Garcia, ma'am, you're charged with one count of criminal trespass. It's a misdemeanor offense. Bond's going to be set at $3,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond, to stay away from a Salvador Garcia. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, I do understand it.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you receive a due court date in the mail. Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
No, that's it.
Okay, ma'am. You're free to go back.
Good one.
Miss Goodwin. Good morning. Ms. Goodwin, ma'am, you're charged with one count of disorderly conduct. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. You're charged with one count of obstructing an officer. I have dismissed that charge. So you're just going to have this one charge moving forward. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back. Miss Mitchell?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Miss Mitchell, ma'am, you've been charged with two felony offenses and one misdemeanor. Aggravated assault, that's a felony offense. Bond is going to be set at $10,000. You're charged with one count of serious injury by vehicle. Bond is going to be set at $10,000. You're charged with reckless driving. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on your bond to stay away from I'm assuming it's Taj, T-A.
Taylor.
Yes, ma'am. Taj Taylor. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will also get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
Now, you said the first one, the first two was what?
I'm sorry. The first two are what?
What is the first two?
Aggravated assault and serious injury by vehicle. Those are both felony offenses.
Okay.
Any other questions, ma'am?
No.
Okay, you're free to go back. Miss Patterson.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Miss Patterson. You're charged with aggravated assault. This is a felony offense. Your bond is going to be set at $10,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from a Vincent Patterson. Do you understand that, ma'am? Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm gonna come out today.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out today. I'm gonna get bail today.
You'll be able to post bond today and get out of jail. Yes, ma'am.
Another thing, can I have my key, can I transfer some check money to them, because today is the day where I send them their money to buy food.
Your husband would not be allowed to be on your bond.
I know, I just want to send some money to my kids, and I don't have, only me do it on my phone. So I just want to ask you to allow me to just send some money to them that they can get their phone, because I always do it on Fridays.
Okay, it's a little bit hard for me to understand you. Are you saying that you're going to try to send money to your children?
Yes.
Okay. So arrangements can be made through a bonding company by anyone to secure your bond.
But my husband cannot bond me.
Your husband, whatever your husband does through a bonding company or through a third party or whomever, that's not my concern. Your husband cannot be the person that is solely responsible for your bond. Okay? Any other questions, ma'am?
No, just.
Okay. All right, ma'am, you're free to go back. Ms. Pollard? Miss Pollard, hold on one second. Okay, thank you, Ms. Pollard. Ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of simple assault. Bond is going to be set at $4,000. 1 count of terroristic threats or acts. Bond is going to be set at $3,000, and that's as a misdemeanor. 1 count of cruelty to children in the 2nd degree. Bond is going to be set at $3,000. And 1 count of simple battery, family violence. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from a Teresa Pollard. Do you understand that, ma'am? Yes or no?
I don't, because that's the only person that I have. That's the only, I've been tortured the whole time. I don't understand. I mean, I don't get this.
What do you not get, ma'am?
Cause I've been locked in a house and not able to go anywhere. She took privileges away from me, telling me to ask my son to take me places, and he'd leave me outside with my kids in the car in the heat, waiting on him whenever he gets dressed or ready. But he cuts me out. He tried to jump on me, and I think it's just a lot of things that they really trying to cover up to try to keep her job, because she worked at CDC. And at the end of the day, I've been sitting up here trying my best to get a place to stay for my kids and myself, but I've lost everything. And I go to her and I talk to her, I ask her, and she don't listen to me. She just like tell me to let it go. And I don't see how I can let something go that I'm trying my best to run so hard to try to get and try to be safe for them. I mean, the way that they verbally abuse my children, like, I don't like that. So cruelty to children, I'm not the one. I've never been like that toward my children. And I'm only going against my mother because it's the truth. And I mean, my kids been behind a computer the whole time, and they've been afraid. And I tried to get in contact with a lawyer for you know, and my
son was in the room with me, he been telling my other kids that he want to kill them and stuff. And I mean, it's just so much on my mind that's going through it, and I'm like going everywhere. But I've been trying to help, but she just like won't even let me go to the grocery store. They've been taking my money. They took
So, Miss Pollard, the fact that I have placed a stay away provision for you to stay away from Teresa Pollard,
yes.
that's giving you what you want, isn't it?
I mean, it's not giving me what I want. What I want is my kid. And I mean, if it was just for me to be locked in a room to think about it in a different way, then I mean, I can think about it in a different way now, positive way, because I don't want to be here away from them. I can't do anything for them or save them here away from them. Then I can sit there, because she has them now, and then she will give them to my ex-husband. And my ex-husband, I found an email in my son's email address of my ex-husband jacking his penis in a video. And I mean, I don't want to, nobody is listening to Shari Pollard. Everybody goes directly to my mother because she works at CDC. And I mean, nobody is listening to me. It's like she got a stack of papers, and she even said that she can get court order for me to get locked in a hospital because it makes me look crazy. But I mean, at the end of the day, my son, he the one, when I said, Mama, get out my face, please, because they tried to take my kid to my son's daddy, my older son's daddy. They were getting in the car, and when I heard that, I was like, oh no, because I'm tired of y'all just overlooking me and taking my kids everywhere. And he has
So let me stop you, Miss Pollard. It takes two people to make a child. So I don't allow people to say my child. It's our child.
I mean,
that's a recognition that, ma'am, there's a recognition that there's someone else that's there.
Sir, he abandoned us. I don't went through a divorce already.
Well, Miss Pollard,
and it was under abandonment. It was
there's family court that deals with those issues. And if you have not availed yourself of family court, then that's an error on your part.
Sir, I've been struggling since COVID. I've been in a home with my kid, and I have.
Ma'am, Miss Pollard, you're not the only person that has been struggling.
With 7 children alone, I may not be, but I'm just.
Miss Pollard, if you have 7 children and you're alone, that's a choice that you made.
Okay, not 2 people now. Okay.
Ma'am, are you telling me you can't give the children over to the fathers?
Sir, it was an email, my son's email of my ex-husband jacking his penis in my son's email. So
did you take that to the police?
I've tried to take a lot. I got police reports, sir.
Okay, I said, did you take it? The video to the police.
They won't listen to me, sir. I called the police 2 weeks ago, and every time I try to talk to them, they stick me in an arm and take me to a hospital. So I just don't understand. Just like the frustration you have on your face is the frustration that they have as soon as they see me. They don't give me a chance to speak up or speak out and even make a stand for my kids or myself.
Miss Pollard, the thing that I do not allow anyone to do is to make excuses for their behavior. If there's a problem that can be fixed, I'm here and I'm ready to fix it and resolve it.
Right now?
Ma'am, right now we're dealing with these criminal charges.
It should not have gotten this far, sir, because I've done everything before this point, calling the cops, calling the 611, 411, whatever, 211, whatever it is. I done caught everything and did everything I was supposed to do the right thing. I've never been in trouble a day in my life. And it's like you getting pushed in a corner and then you attack. That's just how it is. And I need somebody to understand that. Give me a slap on my wrist or something. Let me get my kids. I mean, you gotta understand this.
Miss Pollard.
Don't do this.
Miss Pollard.
My son was the one that gave me that stick, and I didn't even understand. Like, I said, why he got this? And it made me look at it. And then he said,
Miss Pollard. Can you hear me, ma'am? Today is the first day that you and I have ever met and interacted. Is that correct? You're breaking down in tears. You're breaking down in tears. Ma'am, you have to understand. Breaking down in tears is not the way to resolve your issues.
It never has. You're right. I agree. It never has.
Ma'am. If you want people to help you,
what do I do? Because I called them, asked, I beat on walls. I emailed the White House twice. I emailed Channel 2 and Channel 5 News twice. I did everything I could to get some type of help. So tell me what I'm supposed to do when somebody got me locked in a room.
The first step is to stop crying. The second step is to put steel in your spine. And third step is to move in an orderly fashion to resolve whatever issue you have. But ma'am, you're not listening to me. Because the thing that you don't understand is that people in my position and people in law enforcement and people in the DA's office, they see people break down crying every day. And the tears don't move anything. The tears don't stop. Stop.
That's why it does me.
See, ma'am.
I'm human. I can't help it.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Mother.
Ma'am, don't tell me that you cannot act in a different manner.
I can't act and not see my kids. It's impossible. I can't make up something that I don't like.
Miss Pollard, would you consider the fact that maybe your behavior is contributing to the fact that you can't see your children? And so if you want to see your children, maybe you have to do better. Yes. Okay. She's free to go back. I've appointed you a lawyer, Miss Pollard. You're free to go back. Miss Thomas? Miss Thomas, can you hear me, ma'am? You're charged with one count of hit and run accident, bond set at $1,500. You're also charged with one count of driving vehicle, no insurance, bond is set at $1,000. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer, and just shake your head yes or no? Okay, you do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. I muted that side because of Ms. Pollard. Do you have any questions for me? And shake your head yes or no. Okay, what's your question, ma'am?
Is it possible that, the police could investigate my vehicle to see that I could prove that my brakes went out and my vehicle would not stop at all? They could see that it wasn't intentional. It just kept going and I couldn't control it.
That is a question that is best answered by your lawyer.
Mhm.
I can't answer that question. I know that there are possibly procedures that are in place, but I can't answer that question for you. Anything else, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. All right, is that everybody on the ladies' side?
No, Your Honor, we have Williams and Mosley still. You going up?
Ah, Whitney Williams,
Yes.
and you said Mosley.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ryan Mosley. Okay, tell me your name, ma'am.
Whitney Williams.
Okay. Miss Williams, ma'am, you've been charged with one count of unlawful conduct during a 911 call. And this is set by schedule at $1,500. This meets the element, the material elements of the charge. But I do have concerns about these charges. It's a misdemeanor offense. Your bond is going to be set at $1,500. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning. That date, courtroom 201, that date will get waived upon you bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear, if I do not bond out, I will be stuck in here for, to the 5th, correct?
Yes, ma'am. You do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. I don't know the purpose, or the reason for the calls.
Need help. I wasn't feeling well and I was in a bad situation and they came out and they helped me and then I called back and they kept saying somebody was coming and I waited 30 minutes and nobody showed up. And this is like the second time that I've had issue with Clayton County PD. Like I got lost, they couldn't find my Airbnb, I got overheated and the officer came out and would refuse, she wouldn't give me directions and she wouldn't transport. And I said, fine, you can't transport, but can you just show me where I'm going? And she wouldn't do it. And like, they just kept saying, well, they have another call and this and that. And I understand that they have a lot to do and they're very busy. However, my call is important too. And I'm just tired of being dismissed by the police officers and also the paramedics because I'm sick, I'm not well, I have MS, and I'm having trouble getting housing here and keeping housing here. You know, I lost my job, they just fired me randomly, and you know, I have things to do. I really honestly cannot be in jail. I don't have money to bond out, that's number one. Number two, I have 2 children that I'm trying to work for and get housing for that I need to get here. And so I understand, you know, well, I kind of understand why they charged me. Maybe I used curse words and obviously I shouldn't have been doing that, but I was in pain, I was feeling dizzy and I needed them to help me. And I'm not like, when I go to the hospital, they just treat me and release me. I'm not admittable and it's not safe for me to be outside alone. And I didn't think it was appropriate for the officers to just leave me there when I said I need help, or the 911 operators to just dismiss me like, oh, we have another call, oh, you're not important. And so that's how I felt. So obviously my language should have been better, but I don't think I deserve to be in jail for a month because of that. And they told me I was being charged with the misuse of 911, but I really wasn't misusing it. I really did need help. And, you know, I think it's just unfortunate.
Did you request like an ambulance? You said you weren't feeling well.
I know I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go in the ambulance because, like I said, when I get to the hospital, they just treat me and release me. Also, like I said, housing is an issue. So really, what I wanted, it was a peaceful, safe environment to rest because I'm not so sick where they're gonna keep me in the hospital. So like I'm in out of pain with the MS. So by the time I get there, I may not be in pain anymore. And they're just like, you know, with the homelessness thing, which is really, I don't like saying that but that's what it is right now. And they just kind of dismiss me like I'm just trying to get there to get off the street, which is not true. I need help. You know, there's only certain kind of work I can do now, and I'm not getting treatment for my MS, and I don't have housing, and I can't be outside because I get hot. So I was overheated, and I was in a place where I couldn't be. And I really don't want to discuss that now. And so that's why.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You don't need to discuss your medical condition with me.
Okay.
And I don't want you to do that.
That's why I was calling. But I don't think it's fair for me to be, okay, so one more question. Is there any way that we could push the court date up from like a closer court date? Because I don't I can't bond out right now. I don't have any family and I don't want to be in until July. So.
If you want to waive your preliminary hearing, it'll push your case over to state court faster, but that doesn't guarantee that you're gonna get out faster. Because it goes to another destination and it's out of my hands.
I'm not sure what that means. When I get it, so I wouldn't get it sooner. So you can take it to a different court, but there's no guarantee I'll get a closer court date. Or
Okay, Miss Williams, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna dismiss this charge.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I won't do that again.
Miss Williams. Don't call the police unless you need the services of police officers.
Okay.
If you are sick and you need the help of someone from medical, request an ambulance.
Yes, sir.
And I know it's gonna cost money. And if you can't take yourself to the emergency room, request an ambulance. But you have to understand, ma'am, for each shift, there are only so many officers that are assigned on that shift. And you can't imagine the number of phone calls that are coming in with stuff that is non-serious.
Yes, sir.
But they have to answer every call.
Absolutely. My language is out of line, and I know that. So.
Okay, so when this paperwork is received by the jail, which will be today, you will be released.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next person is Miss Mosley. Miss Mosley, ma'am, you charged one count of theft by taking as a misdemeanor. Bond's going to be set at $2,000. You have a preliminary hearing date set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will be waived upon your bonding out. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back. All right, let's switch over to the male side.
First up, let's go. Wake up. Stand in front of the judge now. Don't hurt, pay attention. When you write things down, use that pen, write on paper.
Give me 1 second, sir.
Yes, sir.
You address the judge, yes, sir, I know y'all, yes, sir, no, sir. Anything other than that, consider disrespect. Wake up. Sit up. Call your name, you go ahead and get up.
You are Mr. Blaylock.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Blaylock, sir, you're charged with one count of improper lane change, bond set at $500. One count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce, bond is set at $1,500. Those are both misdemeanor offenses. You're charged with 2 counts of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. And I've set the bond at $3,000 for each. And that's possession of amphetamine and possession of cocaine. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Blaylock. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me, sir? I'm sorry, did you say no?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back, Mr. Blaylock. Mr. Carrillo or Coriello. Sir, you're charged with 2 felony offenses and 1 misdemeanor offense. First is simple possession of methamphetamine. I'm setting the bond at $3,000. Simple possession of cocaine. I'm setting the bond at $3,000. And possession of marijuana less than an ounce, that's a misdemeanor. Setting the bond at $1,500. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Carrillo. Is it Coriello?
Carrillo.
Carrillo. You do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask, how can I get charged with the methamphetamine if that it wasn't on my possession?
There's actual possession and constructive possession.
Yeah, because the weed and the cocaine.
No, stop. And the reason I say stop is because this is being recorded. And I want you to say anything that your lawyer will have to fight later.
All right.
Okay. So with possession, as of now, you are an innocent person. And the charge is the charge that the state has to defend. They have to prove what they're charging you with. So the fact that you've been charged doesn't mean you're guilty.
All right.
So that's why I stop people from talking about the facts of the case, because you don't have to say anything. You can keep your mouth closed and make the state prove their case.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions, sir?
No more questions.
Okay, you're free to go back. Mr. Davis.
How you doing, Dale?
I'm doing well. Mr. Davis, sir, you're charged with one count of disorderly conduct. Bond is set by schedule, which means automatically set at $1,500. Charged one count of obstructing an officer. Bond is
That chart, me and my wife, we just had a good one. Now one of us escorted, any officer.
Mr. Davis, this is not the time to prove your case.
Oh,
Okay. I can't, you can say all
I
you
just heard you dismiss my wife, and I was like, then neither one of us obstruct this.
Mr. Davis.
It's all right. I'm listening.
You're charged with obstructing an officer. Bond's gonna be set at $2,000. You're charged with interference with a government or government property. And the allegation is that you're kicking out a window.
He is with a broken foot.
Mr. Davis,
Yes, sir.
you remember what I said at the beginning of all of this?
I put on paying attention.
I'm certain you weren't paying attention. You're gonna get to say whatever you want to say to me, Mr. Davis. Just
Oh,
let
I'm
me-
sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize, young.
let me do what I need to do, Mr. Davis, and then I'll shut my trap and I'll open my ears and I'll listen to whatever it is you want to tell me. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So, obstructing an officer, the bond is going to be set at $2,000. Interference of government property, which is a felony, bond is going to be set at $5,000. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon you bonding out, and you get a new court date in the mail. Now, you refuse to sign the form. Does that mean you're going to hire your own lawyer?
Yes, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I want to see if I qualify for my own public defense.
Are you currently working, Mr. Davis?
Well, I hope so. When I get out, hopefully I can get out in time. I did have a job, yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to put that you're currently unemployed. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Sir.
And if you decide to get a lawyer, just let the appointed lawyer know that you have hired your own lawyer so that they can be removed from the case. Now, what is it that you wanted to tell me, Mr. Davis?
No, I was just saying, like, when I heard you say about my wife of being the obstruction, when you were dismissed of it, I was saying, like, both of us had the same, wasn't even arguing. I don't know, never mind, it's nothing to talk about.
Okay.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
sir. You're free to go back.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Dunley? Mr. Donnelly, sir, you're charged with 1 count of giving a false name, address, or date of birth. That's a misdemeanor. Bond is going to be set at $2,000. You're also charged with theft by receiving stolen property. Bond's going to be set at $5,000. You're charged with improper turn at an intersection. Bond is going to be set at $500. And you're charged with failing to stop or yield at a stop sign. Bond's going to be set at $500. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
That's all.
Okay, you're free to go back. Mr. Head,
Yes, sir.
give me 1 second, Mr. Head. I'm sorry. Mr. Head, you're charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That's a misdemeanor offense. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. You're also charged with failing to have your headlights on. That's a misdemeanor offense. Bond is going to be set at $500. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Head. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
Yes, sir. I just want to say, it's just me, and I just got out of college, and I'm trying to find a job for this summer. And I was just wondering if you could lower the bond, because I had my lights on the whole entire night, and I wasn't stopped by any officers. So, but it's just me trying to pay this bond. So I don't know how that works.
I'm not going to reduce the bond. The allegation is that you had marijuana in your possession, and I'm just going to make an assumption that if that is true, you didn't go to the person that was selling the marijuana saying you just graduated from college. Can you drop the price down for the marijuana? Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're free to go back. Mr. Hubbard. Sir, you're charged with 1 count of driving on a suspended license. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. 1 count of a window tint violation. Bond is going to be set at $500. These are both misdemeanor offenses. The bond is going to be, your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Hubbard. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me? Okay, you're free to go back, sir. Mr. Jackson.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Mr. Jackson, sir, you're charged with 1 count of battery. It's a misdemeanor offense. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on the bond. The stay away from
Question for that. I'm sorry to cut you off. We share the same address, and everything that I do, like my job is 6 blocks from my house and all of that stuff. What do I do?
I will answer that question at the end.
And I'm sorry again to cut you off, but go ahead.
There's a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Brittany Warner. Do you understand that?
And again, like we share the same household, bills, phone line, everything. So how?
Do you understand that there's a stay away provision? Because there's a person here that I issued a stay away provision that did not
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not understanding because.
No, sir.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're gonna have this conversation in a minute, but I need to understand whether you understand that the court is telling you to stay away from her. Now we can discuss it, but do you understand?
I understand that.
Okay. So, we will, sir. I promise we're going to discuss it. I promise. Okay. You have a preliminary hearing date set for July 5th, 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a notification in the mail. You did not fill out the form. Does that
I didn't
mean?
get one. I wasn't given one, but I would like to see if I qualify.
Okay. Are you currently working?
I currently have a job right now. I informed my boss what was going on.
Okay.
I should be good.
About how much do you earn per hour?
16 an hour. When it ain't overtime, 20 an hour.
Okay. You do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Now we can get to the discussion phase.
No.
And I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
I'm not from here. Basically what happened to us getting to our point of where we stay at, like I made sure that both of our names are on the lease. But my job is down the street from my house. All my clothes are at home. How would I proceed going about with the rest of my life then? Even if I do bond out, my money card is at home, or I can't go pick it up, but that's the one address I have. I don't have anywhere else to go. And she the one that's from here and from Georgia. I don't have anywhere else to go. All my belongings are in the house. I bought everything in the house, from the couch to the TV to everything. I paid the last 2 months of rent. I paid the light bills. And like I'm being told I can't be at my house when I just paid all this money for my stuff. So what am I supposed to do? And I can't. Like, I'm not even trying to talk to her at all already because it shouldn't have got this far. But again, I pay all the bills and stuff in that place, in that home, and where my home is. So would you recommend me telling her to leave if I'm coming home? That would be. So I don't know what to do, right? That's my house. I did my mail and everything, all my name's on the lease. That's my space. It's my place, my home. And I don't have anywhere else to go.
Okay, Mr. Jackson.
I don't have any other family like around here. My daddy called from Texas to check on me. I don't got nobody else down here. And I've been the one getting the hard time in the house that I pay all the expenses for.
Mr. Jackson. Okay. You're not the only person that has been in this position. Clayton County has almost 300,000 residents now. We don't have enough law enforcement officers to sit outside everybody's house to referee their.
I'm sorry.
Please.
That's me.
I let you speak. Mr. Jackson, do you want me to give you information, or you just want to vent? Because if you want to vent, you can do that. Mr. Jackson, you can do that to your cellmate. You can vent to your cellmate about how you've been mistreated.
I'm trying to respect you and not like I'm trying to reply to you as we talk. Like, you just asked me a question, can I reply now, or should I still shut up? This is my first time ever with any of this. I don't know.
How do you, so I'm gonna tell you this, Mr. Jackson. I'm gonna give you a little pearl of wisdom. You see this black robe? That means I can put you in jail and keep you in jail. And the way you treat me, knowing that I can put you in jail and keep you in jail, tells me how you act on the street.
Can I speak, sir?
So, Mr. Jackson, some people, they just want to be right. And they will argue you down until they are proven to be right. Some people don't care what you say. And so whatever you say to them, they ain't gonna listen. They're gonna do what they want to do. Some people listen to learn. And they say, well, I didn't know this. I asked this question, and then I got this information that I did not know. My job as a judge is to answer your questions. And what you've laid out to me is that there's a dispute between you and Miss Warner. And I'm not asking you to agree to what the police did in arresting you. I'm just here to tell you why they say they arrested you. The state has to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. The reason we place a stay away provision on these bonds is because these are misdemeanor offenses, and you're entitled to a bond, which means you will most likely get out of jail tonight. We don't want whatever dispute that led to the police being called yesterday to flare up again. So we place a stay away provision. That can't stop, please. That can be changed. It can be changed, but it has to go through the Solicitor General's office. And they'll look at it and they'll say, yes, we're going to make the change, or they'll say, no, we're not going to make the change. But it's going to be in their hands. The point that I was trying to make earlier is that there are almost 300,000 residents in this county. We don't have enough police officers to sit out on everybody's house or every block to be able to respond. So when there is a call, they come out, they assess the situation, and in a domestic matter, most of the time, somebody's going to jail. So moving forward, Mr. Jackson, if you and Miss Warner are going to stay together, I don't know, but if y'all going to stay together, don't call third parties into your business. Don't, and I'm not saying you did, I'm just saying, when you bring a third party in, when it's law enforcement, grandmother, grandfather, mother, dad, whomever, they then get invested into the situation. And you and Miss Warner, this may have been just something that was heated and got out of hand or whatever. We treat it as if the police got there just before somebody was going to end up dead, whether that's you or Miss Warner. Because if we don't people end up dead. I spent my career defending people, representing them in death penalty cases. And I probably, out of 30 some odd death penalty cases, probably have 5 cases where people intended to kill somebody. The rest of them, they were arguments or whatever that got out of hand. Somebody had a gun, somebody had a knife, and somebody ended up dead. So you need to understand, sir, nobody's against you. You've been charged, but you have not been convicted. I've appointed you a lawyer. You need to speak to your lawyer to move this thing forward. So hopefully these charges get dismissed, which is a possibility. So what else do you need to say to me, Mr. Jackson?
Just I wasn't trying to disrespect. Like I said, this is my first time doing any of this. I've often had issues with people who have more authority. I'm not trying to disrespect, so I apologize for that. I appreciate the information that you did provide me. You already touched on, we didn't say that you did it. This is my chance to, work around it. So thanks for the opportunity, I guess, and that information that you provided me in seeing over my case. Hopefully everything goes well, and thank you.
I wish you well. Mr. Phillips.
How you doing?
It's Phillips. I'm doing well, sir. You're charged with 1 count of driving on suspended license. It's a misdemeanor offense. Bond's going to be set at $1,500. You're also charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce. This is also a misdemeanor offense. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. You're charged with 2 simple, possession of oxycodone. Codone, and bond is going to be set at $3,000. You're also charged with possession, and bond is going to be set at $3,000. These last 2 charges are felony offenses, so your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. You did not fill out the form. Does this mean you're going to hire your own lawyer?
No.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, my mom.
Did you say you're going to hire your own lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Phillips?
No, sir.
Okay, sir. You're free to go back. Mr. Rowland.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, Mr. Rowland, sir. You're charged with 1 count of aggravated assault. Bond is going to be denied on that pursuant to Georgia statute 17-10-1. It appears that you're on either probation or parole. You're charged with battery, family violence. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. And you're charged with criminal trespass, damage to property. Bond is going to be set at $3,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond, a stay away from a Diane Rush. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for July 8th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Are you currently working, Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
How much do you make per hour?
18.
Okay, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
With the probation hold, what that go about? I have to see it to my next hearing date.
No, the way that the statute 17-10-1 is written, I cannot set bond at the initial phase, which is today. it doesn't mean you can't have a bond set tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Russell,
Russell, I don't mind, y'all.
he's okay. OTB. I like to hear those words.
Singleton, Scott.
Mr. Scott,
Small.
Mr. Scott, sir, you're charged with 1 count of simple battery. Bond's gonna be set at $5,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Shelby Craig. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, room 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Scott. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir. And just a question just on the stay away part. That's like just the rest of our life, or is that like a time limit? I just want to know about that part.
So during the pendency of this case,
Yes, sir.
that is a condition of bond.
Okay.
The case is dismissed tomorrow. It goes away. Miss Craig can also contact the Solicitor General's office if she wishes for these conditions to be changed, and they will look into it. And if they believe that it's the appropriate thing to do, they will modify the bond conditions.
Okay, and just on that, if I may ask, if I wanted to go to the house and play with my kids, bring them outside in the front yard to play with them, am I allowed to do that, or is that still contradicting to me being at the address with her being there in the house? She does work from home, so I can go and have my kids outside play like we normally do. So is that gonna be conflicting with me being there at the house? I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the best thing is to have some kind of order in place as to visitation.
Okay.
So then there's no concern. And I'll tell you this, men a lot of times don't take this into account. Everything may be going well, and then there's an argument or a dispute, and then he came over here and he was in the yard. That's aggravated stalking, and then you go to jail with no bond.
Okay. So I just need to stay clear for right now why this is happening, and then just let the bond go, let everything go on, and then I can be able to come back to the house and everything be fine.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, boss. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Singleton. Sir, you charged 1 count of criminal trespass. It's a misdemeanor offense. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Singleton. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just wanted to say, I had a job. I just got hired at FedEx, delivering packages, this morning at 8 o'clock. I was just trying to see, like, is it possible that the jail could give me, because I ain't never been incarcerated before, so I was just trying to see if the jail will give me a option to sign myself out, because I do got a job at FedEx, and I did all my requirements, and I was just, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, you said if the jail could give you a job doing what?
No, I got a job. No, sir. I got a job at FedEx. FedEx had hired me for a delivery driver, delivering packages. And I was supposed to start this morning at 8 o'clock. And
No, I heard all of that, Mr. Singleton.
no, I was just trying to see. No, I was just trying to see. But I ain't have never had no record, never been in jail and stuff before. So I was just trying to see if they can let me sign myself out of my own reconnaissance, cause I ain't got no record or nothing like that. And I got a job. I do got a job. I'm getting myself together. That's all, Your Honor.
So that will be a decision that I would have to make, and I'm gonna deny that request. Okay?
All right.
All right, you're free to go back. Mr. Small.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Small. Sir, you're charged with aggravated stalking. I cannot set a bond for this offense at this stage. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th.
Okay, good. That's what I do.
8:30 in the morning. You're going to have a bond hearing date set for July 8th.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you're free to go back. Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir. How you doing today, y'all?
I'm doing well.
But I know you probably looking at it like, man, ain't no way, man. I know, right?
I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson.
I say, yeah, I know you probably looking at my charge like, yeah, I know, right? Like, and that was my house, man. That's my house, man. I'm under the same address and everything. I don't understand why I got locked up, you know? Like, I've been staying out of trouble. I don't understand what this kind of about.
Okay. Do you want me to explain it to you, Mr. Thompson?
Yeah, I'm just, if you can, I'm saying like, I left and came back once I seen the police car. So obviously I wasn't doing nothing wrong. I didn't think I was doing nothing wrong. That's my house.
So the criminal trespass charge is based upon the allegation of damage to a wall. And you and
I never went in the house. I don't understand. I would never went in the house. I never went in the house. I asked them, I got cameras all around my house. I asked them to show me.
Mr.
Okay, you're right.
We are not having a trial.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay. I'm setting a $3,000 bond. I'm placing a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Tymesia Harris. Do you understand that, sir?
Yeah.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning. Courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out. I see you didn't fill out the form. Does that mean you're going to hire your own lawyer?
No, honestly, I didn't even think this was that serious for me to even be coming to jail by my own house, where I stay at, with my mail coming. I just didn't think that this was that serious.
Okay, Mr. Thompson. I asked you a yes or no question.
Oh, I don't. I had to pay for me a lawyer. It's like I just don't get this. I don't understand how I get a trespassing at my own property, like why I get mail at.
Okay, so I'm gonna put down that you're gonna hire your own lawyer. Do you have any other questions for me, Mr. Thompson?
You said my bond is how much?
$3,000. All right, sir. You're free to go back. Mr. Ward. Mr. Ward.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you're charged with one count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, being simple possession of cocaine. Bond's going to be set at $3,000. You're also charged with driving a vehicle with no taillights. Bond is going to be set at $500. The cocaine charge is a felony offense, so bond, so your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 6th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. You didn't fill out the form. Does that mean you're going to hire your own lawyer?
No, I would like to have one point.
Okay. It says you're working. How much do you make per hour?
19.
Okay, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, sir, you're free to go back. Mr. Victor Williams. Mr. Williams, sir, you're charged with 1 count of simple assault. Bond is going to be set at $4,000, and 1 count of criminal trespass. Bond is going to be set at $3,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on your bond to stay away from a Jamaria. Let's see. Jamaria Height. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, please.
You do qualify, Mr. Williams. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
No, I'm done.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Wineglass or Wineglass.
Oh, what happened? Oh, I'm still here. Okay. Your Honor, give us one moment. He's in a wheelchair. I'm at the position of the computer.
Okay. Okay.
Watch out, Victor.
While they're doing that, what's his warrant number?
Wineglass?
Yes.
2022 CW 51966 and 67.
I got you. Gotta move that speaker.
Mr. Wineglass, sir, you're charged with 1 count of running a red light. And the bond is going to be set at $500. You're also charged with 1 count of driving under the influence of alcohol. To the extent that you're a less safe driver, bond is going to be set at $500. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for July 5th at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
No, sir. I have my own.
Okay. Do you have any questions of me?
Yes, sir. Well, I didn't know because I refused. I was when I got to the hospital, I had refused the blood test. Because I was in agonizing pain from the injuries I got now. And I did not know that would automatically be a DUI. He could have took saliva, blood, urine. I was just in so much pain. I was and just came out of concussion. Wasn't even thinking straight. So that's all I got to say.
Okay. So you should speak to your lawyer about that. There are certain rules related to when blood can be drawn and under what circumstances. And your lawyer may be able to determine whether it was appropriate in your case.
Okay. You said 500 for the red light, 5 for the DUI?
And 5,000 for the DUI.
Oh, 5,000.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. That completes my schedule or calendar. Did I miss anyone?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
think that clock is wrong. It says it's 10:15. Yes, but I mean, I haven't touched anything.
Yeah, no, everything, the call is connected. Reason though, the BRC is our main moment. If you're not connected to BRC, it may wait until Osceola gives, live audio.
So we're waiting for them?
We can see you and hear you, Judge.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So can you see us?
Yes, so it's working?
Oh, I was just waiting for you. I thought you were doing something, that's why I didn't say anything. Sorry.
No, we're doing it from a different courtroom, so the technology is different here than it would be over at the BRC, so we just wanted to make sure that everything was working correctly before we started calling up cases.
Yes, Judge, I can see and hear you as long as you can see and hear me.
Okay, great. All right. Go ahead and start calling up cases.
Alicia Smith on behalf of the Public Defender's Office.
All right, do we have Melvin Amaya Oriana?
Can we reset him, Judge? He's in self-harm today.
I'm sorry, he what?
He's in self-harm.
Okay. So you want to call that up again tomorrow?
Yes, please.
All right, call him back up again tomorrow. All right, do we have Christian Arvizu Arendando?
Just stand over here and then say your name.
Good morning, John. Judge.
Good morning. Can you go ahead and state your name for the record, please?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Can you just state your
My
name
name?
for the record, please?
Yes. Cristian Nuriel Avisa Redondo.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Arendando?
Alicia Smith on behalf of the Public Defender's Office. I don't believe he's going to qualify based off of income, Judge, but for today, we'll stand in.
Actually, I don't think I have his application.
I have them all. I typically
Okay.
turn them in.
Okay, he does not qualify?
Based off income, I don't believe he will, Judge.
Okay, can you act as a friend of the court for today?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, great. Who's here on behalf of the state?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, what says counsel for the defendant?
Yes, Judge. Defense is asking that a bond be set in this case. I understand domestics, the bond isn't set until today. So we're asking for a bond. We're asking for no more than $500 bond. I do know other people got APSs in this case, but he was the only one that was arrested.
What says the state?
So in this case, we would ask for a bond and we would ask for it to be above that based on the level of the charge and facts.
What the court's going to do is the court is going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond at $1,000 with no contact with the victim.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Your
Yes, go ahead.
Honor, this is pretrial release, Sonia Cruz. He qualifies, this is Arvizu, he qualifies for bond with pretrial release. Would you like PTR to supervise him?
What says the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does that work for counsel for Mr. Arredondo?
Defense would ask for the bond to be reduced if we're gonna do pretrial release as well, or a straight bond, since he's gonna have to pay for the monitoring through pretrial release as well.
I'll just keep it with the $1,000 bond and no contact with victim.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, let's call the next case. Dominique Blandon.
He indicated he's gonna be higher in private, but I'll be standing in as a friend of the court for today, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Dominique Blandon.
All right, the Public Defender's Office is going to stand in front of the court today. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Dominique Blandon.
Oh,
Counsel
sorry,
from
Alicia Smith on behalf of the Public Defender's Office.
And who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster with the state.
All right, what says counsel for Mr. Blandon?
Yes, Judge, I believe he has two cases. I don't have I do have both. I do know
It's
that.
a
I
failure
believe
to
there's a
appear
failure-
on a written promise, and then also a Dwillis and registration not assigned.
Yes, Judge, we just asked the bonds to be stayed as is.
All right, so the court's going to find probable cause. The court is going to keep the bond for the Dwillis at $250, and for the registration not assigned, $750, and for failure to appear on written and promise, $500. Any other issues, state?
Okay, I got it.
I said $250, that's fine.
$250.
$250 for the Dwillis, and $750 for the registration not assigned, and then $500 for the failure to appear on written promise. Anything else, state? Anything else, state? Yeah. Anything else, counsel, for Mr. Blandon?
Yes, Judge, I believe on the paperwork that I have, the Dwillis was $500 and the attaching tag was $250 for a total of $750 as to that case, and then the failure to appear was $500. So is the
All right,
court
I'll do
raising the bond to $750 for the attaching
No.
tag?
No, I'll do that, that's fine. It'll be $500 for the Dwillis, and then $250 for the registration not assigned, and $750 total.
Perfect, thank you, Judge.
All right, next up is Victoria Carter. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Victoria Carter.
Okay, and does she qualify for the public defenders?
Yes, Judge.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint.
Alicia Smith on behalf of the Public Defenders.
Okay. Charges domestic violence, charges battery. Who's here on behalf of the state?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, what says counsel for Ms. Carter?
Defense is asking that the bond be set at $500 in this case. I don't believe Ms. Carter has any priors, and I believe PTR had contact with the alleged victim, and they would like contact. So we'd ask for no hostile contact and $500 bond.
What says the state?
Is the victim here?
Do we have any victims outside the courtroom? Can we check? Let's just double check real quick. All right. There are no victims present.
The state would ask for no contact since we haven't heard from the victim.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause, set the bond at $500, and I'll do a no contact with the victim.
You said no contact, Judge?
No contact. We don't have the victim here to state whether or not they want contact, so I'm just going to say no contact.
Pretrial release spoke with them, and I believe, because typically on the weekends here, at least pretrial release does the initial contact. Sometimes they do come to court, sometimes they don't.
I'd rather have the victim come to court and tell me under oath if this is what they want to do. So the victim's not
Understandable.
here, so I'm just going to do no contact. You can always file a motion and go in front of the judge the case is assigned in front of.
Understandable, Judge.
All right, next case is Joshua Echezarreta. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Say your name.
Yeah.
No, say your name.
Oh, Joshua Chezaretta.
Alicia Smith on behalf of Mr. Estrada.
And does he qualify for public defender's office?
Yes, Judge.
All right, we're here on a dealing in stolen property in violation of Pawnbroking Act. What says counsel for Mr. Echetera?
He qualifies for direct pretrial release, Judge. We'd ask for direct pretrial release in this case.
What says the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state. We would ask that bond be revoked. He was previously out on bond according to the, oh, wait, never mind. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong person. The state agrees.
Okay, so you're okay with straight pretrial release?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll order straight pretrial release then. I don't. Yeah, I'll order no contact with the victim of the stolen property. No return to the scene.
Okay. Direct pretrial release, no contact, no return?
Yeah.
Okay.
No contact, no return. Next up, we have Andre Foray.
Andre Four.
Okay. Does he qualify for public defender's office?
Yes, Judge Alicia Smith on behalf of the Public Defender's Office.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for a Willis. What says counsel for Mr. Foray?
Yes, Judge, defense is asking that the bond be reduced in this case to $1,500, but otherwise, that's it.
What says the state?
We would agree to that.
All right, court's going to find probable cause, and we will go ahead and change the bond to $1,500.
Your Honor, he's out
Yes.
on bond on case 22 CF 1316 here in Osceola County. Will you be taking any action on that?
No, not today. Next up is Rico Jean. Go ahead and state your name for the record. Rico Jean.
He's approaching.
Good morning, Rico G.
Alicia Smith on behalf of Mr. Jean, he does qualify.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Jean, who's here on behalf of the state.
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, we're here on a failure to appear on a written promise. What says counsel for Mr. Jean?
Yes, Judge, if the court is inclined to reduce the bond in this case, we'd ask that the bond be reduced to $1,000. I understand it's a failure to appear warrant.
What says the state?
The state would like to keep the bond at 2,000.
Yeah, I'll keep the bond at 2,000. Next up is William LaPrey.
Alicia Smith on behalf of Mr. LaPrey, he does qualify for the Public Defender's Office.
Okay, great. Go ahead and state your name, please, William LaPrey.
Say your name, LaPrey.
William LaPrey.
Thank you. Who do we have on behalf of the state?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, we're here for possession of drug paraphernalia. What says counsel for Mr. LaPrey?
Yes, Judge, the only reason he doesn't qualify for direct pretrial release is because of, due to prior findings and dismissals due to incompetence. So defense would be asking if the court would do a straight ROR or PTR or some other release status in this case. Mr. LaPrey does have prior mental health cases that were also dismissed due to incompetence.
He doesn't qualify for PTR because of the mental health.
Do y'all not have mental health PTR anymore?
Not in his case.
What says the state?
Due to the charge and the history of the state would be amenable to ROR.
All right, court's going to find probable cause, ROR.
You're gonna get out of there, Mr. LaPrey?
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next up.
Thank you,
Next up
ma'am.
is, thank you, have a good day. Is here for Isaac Mercado Pagan.
Alicia Smith on behalf of Mr. Mercado Pagan, he does qualify.
Good morning, Judge.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Isaac Mercado Pagan.
Thank you. And who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here today for a battery, first-degree misdemeanor. What says counsel for Mr. Mercado Pagan?
Yes, Judge, defense is asking that a bond be set. In this case, we're asking the bond be set at $500. He doesn't qualify for direct due to the domestic nature of the charge.
What says the state?
The state would ask for either the defendant not be released due to the nature of the charge or a high bond.
Court's going to order a $1,000 bond, no contact with victim.
$1,000.
Next up is Carla Musset.
Can we reset her, Judge? She's detoxing.
Okay, we'll call her tomorrow.
The next one needs the interpreter. We have 2 for the interpreter today.
Okay, so Perdomo Naranjo needs an interpreter?
Yes, Judge, and then Rosario Ortiz, which is 2 after.
All right. We have the live interpreter present? I was told we'd have the live interpreter present today. Do you know how to work the virtual? Do we know how to do it? I was told we'd have a live person. I just want to make sure we got one way or the other. Yeah, that's okay, great. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll pass over this until the live interpreter gets here then. All right, perfect. All right, so the next step would be Haley Rafferty.
Alicia Smith on behalf of Ms. Rafferty, she's approaching, she does qualify.
All right, go ahead and state your name for the record.
Haley Rafferty.
Thank you. And who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
We're here for a petty theft. What says counsel for Ms. Rafferty?
Yes, Judge, we asked that the bond be set at the, remain stayed at the $250.
What says the state? All right, the court's going to find probable cause and keep the bond at $250.
Your Honor, she is out on bond on 21 CF 2993 and on county diversion program. Will you be taking any action on that?
No, not today. Next up is Brandon Rizzuo.
Ruzio. Alicia Smith on behalf of Mr. Ruzio, he is approaching, he does qualify.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Brandon Ruizo.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for possession of controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of cocaine, 2 third-degree felonies, 1 misdemeanor. What says counsel for Mr. Ruzio?
Yes, Judge, defense will ask that the bond be reduced as to the possession of a controlled substance and the possession of cocaine to $1,000 each, and the paraphernalia remains stated to $500.
What says the state?
And he does qualify for direct PTR if the court would be inclined to do that as well.
What says the state?
One moment. Are we on?
This is Ruzio. He's charged with possession of controlled substance, 3rd-degree felony, drug paraphernalia, 1st-degree misdemeanor, possession of cocaine, 3rd-degree felony.
That sounds, state would be amenable.
All right, the court's going to make $1,000 bond for the 2 third-degree felonies. So it's $1,000 each for possession of controlled substance, possession of cocaine, and then $500 for paraphernalia.
He does qualify for direct pretrial release with the court being inclined to do that in the alternative.
I'll just keep it at the bond.
Okay.
Next up is Ernie Santiago Rodriguez. Does he qualify for public defender's office?
Yes, Judge. Alicia Smith on behalf of Mr. Santiago Rodriguez.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Ernie Santiago Rodriguez.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for grand theft. What says counsel for Mr. Santiago Rodriguez?
Yes, Judge. We asked about bond be stayed at the $1,000.
What says the state?
State would agree.
All right, court is going to find probable cause, bond as $1,000, and no return to the scene.
Your bond stays at $1,000, no return. No.
Next up is Justin Theroux. Mr. Taru qualified?
Yes, Judge, Alicia Smith on behalf of Mr. Taru, he is approaching.
All right, go ahead and state your name for the record.
Say your name.
Justin Tyrell.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here today. Mr. Taru had a warrant for a failure to appear for a duelis. What says counsel for Mr. Taru?
Yes, Judge, we
Well,
asked the
don't-
bond.
Don't, I was going to say,
remains.
Mr. Taru, don't say anything on the record in regards to the case. Go ahead, counsel for Mr. Taru.
We asked the bond remains, as is, Judge.
What says the state?
State would agree.
Court's going to find probable cause and bond set is $1,000. Next up is Yolanda Wiggins.
Ms. Wiggins? Come on, next.
And does Ms. Wiggins qualify?
Yes, Judge, she does qualify for the public defender's office, and she also qualifies for direct pretrial release.
Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Yolanda Wiggins.
Thank you. I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, you're here, ma'am, on a third-degree felony, possession of cocaine, first-degree misdemeanor, drug paraphernalia, first-degree misdemeanor, resisting without violence, third-degree felony, concealing, and second-degree misdemeanor, engaging in prostitution. So what says counsel for Ms. Wiggins?
First, she does qualify for direct pretrial release, would the court be inclined to do direct pretrial release in the case?
What says the state?
The state would agree.
All right. Order, find probable cause, order pretrial release.
Leave it out today.
All right, thank you.
Next up is Drusilla Trent. Does Ms. Trent qualify?
Yes, Judge, she qualifies for the public defender's office. This is an add-on from yesterday, Judge. I'm not 100% positive what it was added on for, because she indicated yesterday she was here for a violation of probation, and I see that's what this one is, but it seems to be the same case. So I'm not, if the court was supposed to be setting a bond, or I'm not positive on the reason for the reset or the added charge.
Do we know why the case was reset from yesterday? We don't have any information as to why the case was reset from yesterday. Does the state know?
Not at this time.
So what does counsel for Ms. Trent know in regards to why it was reset?
Ms. Trent indicated she was here yesterday for a violation of probation. She's only on probation for one case, so to me, it would be this case. So I'm not sure if yesterday was a warrant execution, today is the actual initial appearance. That's the only guess I could have, but I'm not positive. And pretrial release didn't have any information either.
Okay. What we're here on today is the violation of probation or community control. What says counsel for Ms. Trent? What is your position?
Would the court be inclined to set a bond today?
What says the state?
She's in on violation of probation, so we would ask for no bond.
I agree, no bond. You can always file a motion in front of the judge that you're in front of.
Understandable, Judge.
I believe the last two cases that we have are the Spanish interpreter cases. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
Do we have the Spanish interpreter present? There's no one outside?
I was notified that the Spanish interpreter cases would start at 10:30, so maybe they're still
Five. I guess we can go off the record for 5 minutes until the interpreter gets here. All right, can we go off the record? I'm not sure how to do it in this courtroom. This is a new one.
I can't.
He'll come back on at 10:30. We're waiting for the interpreter.
Understandable, Judge.
If I have an agency case number, I know it's not the same thing.
Nah, it's okay. If you don't have a case, that's fine, Your Honor.
Well, here we go. I skip one for this one. Next up is going to be 2022 CF 7042.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's going to be Leandro Rodriguez Estrella.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have the attorney from Office of Public Defender with us?
Tenemos presente el defensor público.
Christina Smith for the public defender.
Cristina Smith, representando al defensor público.
Does Mr. Rodriguez Estrella qualify for appointment of the public defender's office?
El señor Rodríguez Estrella reúne requisitos para que se le designe el defensor público.
Your Honor, Social Services did all of our affidavits. We would ask that the Office of the Public Defender be provisionally appointed for each of the individuals just for the purposes of initial appearance.
Su señoría, el Departamento de Servicio Social hizo todos los trámites, pero estamos pidiendo que a todos los individuos se le designen las oficinas del defensor público de manera provisional.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent Mr. Rodriguez Estrella.
Está bien, entonces designaré al Departamento de Defensor Público que represente al señor Rodríguez Estrella.
And who's here on behalf of the state?
¿Quién está aquí presente representando a la Fiscalía?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
Jesse Schuster representando a la Fiscalía.
All right, we're here today on a possession of cocaine case. What says counsel for Mr. Rodriguez Estrella?
Estamos aquí en un cargo de posesión de cocaína que indica la abogada del señor Rodríguez Estrella.
Your Honor, release. I don't have any information as to whether or not he is eligible for direct PCR at this time.
My apologies, Your Honor. The interpreter's having some difficulty.
Speak a little bit louder, a little bit slower. The interpreter's here and he's having difficulty hearing.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I don't have information as to whether or not he is eligible for direct PCR on this matter.
Yo necesito más información, reunir más información para poder determinar si él reúne requisitos para la libertad provisional en este asunto.
He does qualify.
Sí, él sí reúne requisitos.
We would ask that he be released on direct PCR, Your Honor.
Entonces estamos pidiendo que sea liberado bajo libertad provisional directa, su señoría.
What says the state?
¿Qué dice la Fiscalía?
The state would agree.
¿La Fiscalía está de acuerdo?
I agree as well. The court's going to find probable cause to release him on pretrial release.
El juzgado está de acuerdo también. Determino que existe indicios razonables para poder liberarlo bajo libertad provisional.
Any release conditions, Judge?
State requesting any release conditions?
¿La Fiscalía está pidiendo condiciones de libertad?
No drugs or alcohol.
¿No se le permitirá ingerir drogas o alcohol?
No drugs or alcohol.
Entonces, así se ordenará no drogas, no alcohol.
All right, next up is going to be Angel Rivera Rosado.
Your Honor.
Yes?
Rivera Rosado is mental health.
He's mental health?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to recall it tomorrow?
Has he been seen it?
No. Hasn't been seen yet.
Just one moment, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Your Honor, even though Mr. Rivera Rosado has not been seen by mental health, these are cases where he is able to get, or even possibly, is he eligible for direct PCR, or is it no because of mental health?
He's not eligible.
No tiene derechos a la libertad provisional debido a las condiciones de salud mental.
Do you want to recall it tomorrow, or do you want to handle it today and waive his appearance?
Defense would be willing to waive his appearance, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll appoint Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Rivera Rosado, who's here on behalf of the state.
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, we're here for possession of cannabis. What says counsel for Mr. Rosado, I'm sorry, Rivera Rosado?
Yes, Your Honor. We would ask for the lowest possible monetary bond at this time. I believe
I'm sorry, anything else? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, Your Honor. I believe it's set at 100, at 500, but if we could set it low as possible bonds. That's all.
What says the state?
Traffic offenses?
Yes, he also has no valid DL, no
Oh.
motor vehicle registration, no motor vehicle license, attached tag unassigned. Those are all traffic cases, but he also has the possession of cannabis.
The state would also be in agreement with a low bond.
Okay. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the bond amount at $100 for the possession of cannabis and for all of the traffic charges. So it's $100 each. I believe the last interpreter case that we have is Edwin Pizarro Rodriguez. I'll go ahead and appoint. All right, he's present. Go ahead, state your name for the record, please.
Caballero, por favor, dígame su nombre para que conste en actas.
Edwin Pizarro Rodriguez.
Edwin Pizarro Rodríguez.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Voy a designar las oficinas del defensor público para que los representen a usted.
We're here today for open container.
Estamos aquí por un delito de envase abierto. ¿Qué dice la defensa?
What says counsel for Mr. Pizarro Rodriguez?
El licenciado para representando al señor Pizarro Rodríguez.
Your Honor, Christina Smith for Mr. Pizarro Rodriguez. As this is a city ordinance case, we would ask for ROR or lowest possible monetary bonds.
Y ya, señoría, ya que esto es una ley municipal, estamos pidiendo libertad bajo palabra o una fianza reducida.
What says the state?
¿Qué dice la fiscalía?
The state would be in agreement with ROR or a low bond.
La fiscalía estuviera de acuerdo con libertad bajo palabra o una fianza reducida.
Court's going to find probable cause and do an ROR.
El tribunal va a determinar que existen indicios razonables y vamos a dar una libertad provisional.
All right, I believe that is our last Spanish interpreter case. Does Public Defender's Office believe it was the last interpreter case as well? I want to make sure that we're good to go before we release the live interpreter.
That is my understanding as well, Your Honor.
Okay, perfect. All right,
Thank you, Your
so
Honor.
much for appearing
You're
today.
welcome, Your Honor. Could I kindly see if you have a case number for this last defendant by any chance?
Sorry.
No worries, Judge.
You asked me about that and I totally forgot. 22MO719.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes.
Have a good day, Your Honor. Have a good day,
Thank you,
everyone.
You too. All right, next up is going to be the move-ups. The first case is going to be Achille Taylor. Do we have Achille Taylor with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Achille Taylor.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for the defendant?
Christina Smith for Mr. Taylor.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Houston for the state.
All right, we're here today on 2 failure to appears. What says counsel for the defendant?
Your Honor, Mr. Taylor is here now. These are 2 failures to appear. We would ask that if Your Honor would entertain a bond on these 2 charges.
What says the state?
The state would allow a bond, but a higher bond.
All right, the court's going to set a bond at $1,000 for resisting officer without violence, and I'm going to set $2,500 bond for battery on a law enforcement officer. All right, next up we have Preston Vereen. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 second.
I did ask you earlier, would you like the interpreter here at 10:30 tomorrow as well?
Yes, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, I'll pass that along. Thank you. My apologies.
Perfect, thank you. All right, next up we have is Preston Vereen.
Your Honor, he is mental health.
All right, does Public Defender's Office want to proceed and waive his appearance, or do you want to set it off for tomorrow?
Just 1 second, Your Honor. I apologize.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, defense is prepared to waive at this time.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Vereen. Public Defender's Office has waived his appearance. Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia. What says counsel for the defendant?
Your Honor, I would ask if Mr. Vereen is eligible for direct PTR based on these charges.
He's not eligible.
He is not, Your Honor. Then we would ask for the lowest possible bond
What says the
available.
state?
I'm sorry, is this,
Vereen, Preston Vereen, possession of meth, possession of paraphernalia, 1,000 for methamphetamine, 500 for paraphernalia. Are you okay with that, or do you want something different?
the state would be in agreement with that?
All right. I agree. The court's going to keep it 1,000 for possession of methamphetamine, 500 for drug paraphernalia.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Next up is Mr. Melendez.
Your Honor, he is also mental health.
Do you want to move forward with this case and waive his appearance, or do you want to roll it over to tomorrow?
We are prepared to waive his appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint the Public Defender's Office. Public Defender's Office has waived his appearance. Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for it's like a battery. What says counsel for Mr. Melendez?
Your Honor, we would ask at this time for actually, I believe I have a probable cause argument on this case. If you hold on one second. The independent witness in this case.
Wait, which line are we on? What line are you at?
It's one really, really long paragraph, so let's see here.
I've got the one really long paragraph too, but just count the sentences and tell me which line you're starting off at so I can follow you. I think I found it. Does it start with an independent witness?
Oh, I lost it. Sorry, just one second. See here. Yes, an independent witness identified as Jeremiah Allen Cummins provided the following. He stated that he offered Mr. Melendez a cigarette to get him to return to the property and ask him questions about something that happened earlier. Then when he returned, Felipe, the alleged victim, grabbed him to ask him questions, and in response, Mr. Melendez then swung at Felipe after he had been grabbed. So it doesn't appear that, based on this affidavit, on the independent witness statement in the affidavit, that Mr. Melendez was the initial aggressor. He was acting in response to someone grabbing him.
What says the state?
The state would ask for 1 moment. It would seem that there's conflicting testimony and facts about this. The state would say that there was probable cause, the battery occurred, and if the defense wants to make a self-defense argument, that's something that they could argue.
It says here, Felipe grabbed the subject, asking him questions about what he had done. In response, the subject swung his arm at Felipe, hitting him in the arm. Felipe restrained him until OCSO arrived on scene and took him into custody. I agree that this would be a question for the jury, not a probable cause argument. So I'm going to find probable cause, set the bond at $1,000, no contact with the victim. I'm sorry?
Take any action?
I'm not going to take any. He's out on bond already on a criminal mischief case. I'm not going to take any action on it. Yes.
I would inquire, if this isn't the residence of the defendant, could we also do a no return? I see it's
a hometown studios.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you know if that's where your client resides?
I am not aware of that, but if we could do a no return or a one-time return with law enforcement.
Well, I don't think they reside together. I'll just do a no contact and no return to the scene.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, next up is Saul Rivera Munez.
Your Honor, he is mental health also.
Do you want to move forward with this, or do you want to waive his appearance?
Defense is prepared to waive his appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint Public Defender's Office. Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for a VOP. What says counsel for the defendant?
Your Honor, we would ask that a monetary bond be placed on the VOP at this time.
What says the state?
The state would ask for no bond due to the violation of probation.
I agree, no bond. Next up is going to be Nelson Figueroa.
He is also mental health, Your Honor.
Does Public Defender want to waive his appearance or set it for tomorrow?
Yes, Your Honor. We are prepared to waive his appearance.
All right, I'll appoint Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Figueroa, who's here for the state.
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for disorderly. What says counsel for Mr. Figueroa?
Yes, Your Honor. Based upon this being a city ordinance and the nature of the charged act, we would ask for ROR or the lowest possible monetary bond.
What says the state?
The state would agree.
Court's going to find probable cause, order ROR. All right, the last move-up case that we have is Nicholas Paradiso.
Your Honor, he is mental health also.
Okay, do you want to waive his appearance? Or you want to move forward?
We are prepared to waive his appearance.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Paradiso. Who's here for the state? All right, we're here for an open container. What says counsel for Mr. Paradiso?
Your Honor, based upon this being a city ordinance and the nature of offense, we would ask that ROR be granted or lowest possible bond.
What says the state?
The state would agree.
All right, we're just going to find probable cause and do an ROR. That's the last of our move-ups, so we should go back to our regular.
He's not on board.
Oh, he's not on bond? I'm not going to take any action on that today. Going back to our regular docket now, finished with the Spanish cases and the move-ups. First up would be Anthony Adams. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Anthony Adams.
Does he qualify for Public Defender's Office?
The forms were in the clerk's office.
Okay, I didn't see them. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, not a problem. Okay, so I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Anthony Adams. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Anthony Adams.
And who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, do we have any alleged victims in regards to Anthony Adams? Present? No. All right, we're here for aggravated battery. What says counsel for Mr. Adams?
Your Honor, this, you're asking at this time,
No, actually, we are not in a relationship. I'm sorry, we're not in a relationship, nor do we live together or have children. She's a family friend.
Your Honor, Mr. Adams has stated that they are not in a relationship and that she is just a family friend. We would ask that this be downgraded for domestic violence and that a lower bond be set based upon that.
What says the state?
The state would counter with the fact that the definition for relationship in Florida is fairly broad, and it does indicate in the report that the defendant stated he was arguing with his girlfriend, so we would disagree.
I agree that issue is an issue for the jury. The court's going to find probable cause in regards to the aggravated battery, set bond at $1,000, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene.
Your Honor, the scene appears to be a restaurant. it's the Rustique Restaurant, is the no return.
Well, no, I'll say no return to her residence, because it said earlier that they were living together in a relationship and had lived together as a family unit. So I don't know if they were living together currently or if they just lived together previously.
She has her own residence.
He stated that they aren't currently living together.
All right, then just don't go to her residence then. All right, next up is Taika Jones. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Takia Jones.
I'm sorry?
Takia Jones.
Thank you. And who's here as counsel for Ms. Jones?
Christina Smith for Ms. Jones.
And who's here for the state?
Jessica Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for an ag battery with a weapon. What says counsel for Ms. Jones?
Just one moment, Your Honor.
Do we have any alleged victims in regards to this case for Takia Jones? Okay, do you want to come forward?
We're not going to do that right now. Your Honor, there are no victims. There are no alleged victims here. We would ask.
The victim is present.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, let's go ahead and get him sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Richard Rogers,
Okay, and can you go ahead and spell that, please, for the court reporter?
Richard
Okay.
Rogers.
And what is it that you wanted to tell the court?
Well, I was asleep, and I was sleeping at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she had a knife, and she just cut my finger. Because she did hair, and there was a bag on the floor, and there's hair gonna get in the bag. She accused me for having another guy's hair in my bag, called me a bunch of names and everything else. Then before the police got there, she said, "I'm gonna kill you next."
So do you want to have contact with the defendant, or you do not want to have contact with the defendant?
No.
Because sometimes people, victims come forth and they say yes, and sometimes they say no. That's why I just wanted to clarify. Based upon what you're saying, it sounded like no, but I just wanted to double check and make sure. All right, counsel for Ms. Jones, do you have any questions of the alleged victim?
I have no questions for the alleged victim at this time regarding whether or not he wants contact. We would ask that Ms. Jones be able to return to collect any personal belongings with the assistance of law enforcement.
What says the state?
The state would agree with the one-time return with law enforcement.
All right, court's going to set a bond of $2,500, no return to the scene except for one time to go with law enforcement to retrieve her belongings, no contact with the victim, no return to the residence. Is there anything else on behalf of the state?
Not this time, Your Honor.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the court? All right, thank you for appearing here today. All right, next up, we have Clive Pike. Do we have anyone here for the Pike case? Seeing none. Seeing none. All right, go ahead and state your name for the record, Mr. Pike.
Clive Pike.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Pike?
No.
Pardon?
Christina Smith for Mr. Pike, Your Honor.
Thank you. Who's here on behalf of the state?
Jessica Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, we're here today for an ag assault. What says counsel for Mr. Pike?
We would ask at this time that Mr. Pike be allowed a one-time return for to collect any personal belongings and for a reasonably low monetary bond.
What says the state?
The state would ask for a higher bond based on the facts and the severity. We would allow for the one-time return with law enforcement.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond at $5,000. No contact with victim, no return to the scene except for one time with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. Next up is going to be Wilfred Ruiz. Do we have anyone here for Wilfred Ruiz? Come on up, please. Okay. Mr. Ruiz, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Wilfred Ruiz.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the Public Defender's Office?
Christina Smith, Public Defender, and Mr. Ruiz.
Okay, we also have a witness here today. Go ahead and state your name, please.
Rhonda Black.
Thank you. And who's here on behalf of the state?
Who's here on behalf of the state?
All right, let's go ahead and get the witness sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, what would you like to tell the court? If you could please just speak up loudly in the microphone, that way they can hear you.
So me and Mr. Ruiz have been in a relationship off and on for the last 3 years. Everything that's been happening in the last couple of months is a misunderstanding. He is not a threat to anyone. When he got arrested yesterday, I even asked the officers, if you arrest him, I mean, I didn't know you could even arrest anybody without, what was going on. Just in indefinite, all this is a misunderstanding. It was an argument that led to a fight. We were both fighting each other, and that's what I expressed to the officers. I can't have anybody do anything to this young man knowing that he's sitting there and I'm out here free, and it was both of us. Not to say that, you feel what I'm saying, that I don't want to be there right now, but.
So clarification, are you asking for,
Clarification is he has been supporting me and my kids. I do not want him in the state that he's in. I don't want that at all.
Asking for contact.
I'm asking for contact, and I'm asking them to either give him a bond and let him go free because he doesn't deserve this.
Do you have any fear of him at all?
No.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Have to ask.
Oh, I understand that. Yes, ma'am.
Just making sure. Any questions, counsel for Mr. Ruiz?
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
I even called.
Questions from the state?
No question for the victim at this time.
All right, what does counsel for Mr. Ruiz requesting?
Counsel, we'll be asking for no hostile contact and for a no monetary bond in this matter, as the victim is here present stating that it is a misunderstanding and that those are her wishes as well.
What says the state?
While the state understands what the victim's wishes are, it seems that the defendant is on bond for a battery in another state, and then with this as well, the state would ask for no bond at this time, or a high bond.
Court's going to set the bond at $2,500 and no contact with the victim at this time. He can always file a motion in front of the judge that he's in front of, but based upon what I'm seeing here, it's not appropriate at this time.
I understand.
But he can always go in front of the judge that's assigned in front of this case.
I will.
Okay?
I will. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
No contact with the victim, no return to the scene.
We would have one time return, Your Honor.
Yes, one time with law enforcement to retrieve his belongings.
Thank you.
I'm not going to take any action on that. All right, I need to go ahead and go off the record for an emergency warrant. Oh, he does?
3 cases.
Oh, yes, now I see them. All right, he's also here for burglary of an occupied dwelling, criminal mischief, stalking, battery, and grand theft.
That came from our argument. That was the day before. And I called the officer and let her know that, well, I told the officer in front of her, if he bought me my keys back, it would be the end of it. He did. He bought me my stuff back. That was the end of it. And then the next day after that, it was a misunderstanding.
What says counsel for Mr. Ruiz?
Your Honor, we would again be asking for lowest monetary bonds in these matters, as the victim is here just saying that this is not what happened in the incident.
The court's going to make the bond at $1,000 on each of those charges: burglary, criminal mischief, stalking, battery with 2 priors, and grand theft 3rd degree. So,
Your Honor, for the
yes.
record, the state would ask for no bond based on the charges alleged.
The court's going to grant a bond. It'll be $2,500 for the aggravated battery on a pregnant person and $1,000 each for the burglary, criminal mischief, stalking, battery with 2 priors, and grand theft 3rd degree.
And no action on the out on bond, right?
I'm sorry?
No action on the add-on bond.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do any action on that.
Doing the same conditions or?
Well, for the aggravated battery, it's gonna be no contact with the victim, no return to the scene except for one-time contact to return belongings, burglary of an occupied dwelling, no return to the scene, stalking, no contact with victim.
And then the other case, 6951, they had no contact with victim on the warrant.
Yep, no contact with victim, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms. All right. Can we go ahead and turn this off? I have to go and do an emergency warrant. Do we have the IT person?
Need me anymore?
Saying none?
None, Your Honor. Oh, they go downstairs.
Can Brandon Alexander go ahead and state your name for the record? I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defendant?
I'm Christina Smith on behalf of Mr. Alexander.
Who's here on behalf of the state?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, we're here for battery domestic violence. What says counsel for Mr. Alexander?
One moment. Your Honor, we would just ask that since the alleged victim in this incident came to the place where he was staying when this occurred, that no return not be executed here, and that
What says the state?
The state would be, it seems that the victim does maintain a separate residence, so the state would be amenable to that as long as he not returned to her residence.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000, no contact with the victim, no return to her residence. Next up, we have Ryan Cummings. Anyone here for the Ryan Cummings case? Seeing none? Go ahead and state your name for the record, Mr. Cummings.
Ryan Cummings.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Cummings?
Christina Smith for Mr. Cummings.
Who's here on behalf of the state?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
Okay, we're here for battery domestic violence. What says counsel for Mr. Cummings?
Your Honor, we would ask that he be allowed a one-time return for the purpose of collecting his personal belongings, and based upon the nature of the affidavit, at lowest possible monetary bond.
What says the state?
The state would ask for a the state does not see the call for a low bond. I believe he, based on the actions, we would ask for a at least $1,000 bond.
We're going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000, no contact with victim, no return to the scene except for one time with law enforcement to retrieve your belongings. Next up is Tyler Fate. Do we have Mr. Fate with us?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Tyler Gene Fight.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Fight?
Christina Smith for Mr. Fight.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, we're here for a battery charge, domestic violence. What says counsel for Mr. Fight?
Your Honor, we would ask that he be allowed to return to collect any personal belongings at this time.
What says the state?
The state would be agreeable to a one-time return with law enforcement.
All right, court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000, no contact with victim. You can return with no return to the scene, but you can return one time with law enforcement to retrieve your belongings.
All
Next up we have is Patrice Goodwin. Patrice Goodwin. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Tracy Ann Goodwin.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Ms. Goodwin?
Christina Smith for Miss Goodwin.
Who's here for the state? Is anyone here in regards to the Goodwin case? Seeing none, we're here today in regards to a battery case, domestic violence. What says counsel for Ms. Goodwin?
We would ask for a one-time return in order to collect her personal belongings, Your Honor.
What says the state? Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000, no contact with victim, no return to the scene, but you can go back with law enforcement one time.
Right here.
Right. Next up is going to be
It's 100 to get out.
Brandon Griffin. Brandon Griffin. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Brandon Griffin.
We'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Griffin?
Christina Smith for Mr. Griffin.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster on behalf of the state.
All right, we're here today for a violation of a domestic violence injunction. What says counsel for Mr. Griffin?
Your Honor, we would just ask for the lowest possible monetary bond.
What says the
Based
state?
on circumstances.
The state would agree to a lower bond in this case.
And do we have a victim, or alleged victim with us present today in regards to Brandon Griffin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go ahead and get her sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Jessica Wiggum,
And can you please spell it for the court reporter?
JESSICAWHIGHAM.
And what would you like to tell the court?
Okay, if I could start by explaining, I have multiple health issues that cause me to take a lot of medications, which make it very hard for me to sometimes comprehend in certain situations, and also to be able to properly speak and explain certain situations. And this is all one big misunderstanding. I did not realize at the time that I was saying or doing anything that was going to cause him to be arrested on account of me. I was not in fear of him, nor am I now.
And are you wanting contact with him?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, he should have never been arrested.
And you say you don't have any fear of him right now, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Any questions from counsel for Mr. Griffin?
Nothing for the victim, Your Honor.
What says the state? I mean, do you have any questions of the victim first?
I don't have any questions for the victim.
Okay, what's argument on behalf of the state?
On behalf of the state, we would just, even if the court does do no hostile contact, there is a injunction in place that would just prevent the defendant and the victim, that they would need to sort that out prior to contact.
Do you know how long the injunction is in place for? Is this a permanent injunction, a temporary injunction?
I do not know at this time, and the state would need a 24-hour reset to find that out. It does not appear to be in the report.
Here's what I'll do. I'm going to find probable cause. I'm going to set the bond at $1,000, no contact with the victim. Obviously, Mr. Griffin's going to have to deal with this case in regards to the criminal case and also with the domestic relations case in regards to an injunction.
Sorry, can I speak again, please, ma'am?
Go ahead.
That's not fair because he did not do anything wrong. He should have never been arrested to start with. There should have never been an injunction in place. I called the police department and the state's attorney's office to try to speak to someone to get these charges dropped because charges never should have been brought against him in regards to me. And no one has been able to help me.
All right, well, I can tell you. Okay, in regards to the injunction, I'm not the court that granted the injunction. I didn't hear the testimony. I don't know why that court decided that an injunction was necessary for your protection. So for that, I don't know. But you can always go back to the courthouse and get a copy of the petition for the injunction and a copy of the order for the injunction so you can see why that happened. If you are trying to get the injunction removed or listed, you can always go to Help Now. It's Domestic Violence Advocacy Center that could potentially help you in regards to see what all of your options are.
I mean, with my health issues, this is the person who helps me take a shower, who helps me in and out of my doctor's appointments, in and out of bed.
I hear what you're saying, ma'am, but I can't violate the law. I can only follow it. So what you need to do is, if you have a court order that is in place and is not what you want, you can always go back in front of the judge that you're in front of and ask them to change that order.
I've never been in front of a judge. I've never been known to be aware of any court appearances or anything. No one ever
What you can
contacted
do is
me.
you can go to the courthouse, it's the Orange County Courthouse. You can go to the clerk's floor and ask for a copy of the petition and a copy of the order. That will say the allegations as to why the injunction happened, and the court order will be with the judge who signed the order. So what you can do is you can go to Help Now, which is domestic violence, the help victims or alleged victims of domestic violence, and they can help you, assist you in regards to moving forward in regards to that case.
How do I get him out now?
You can't now because right now there's a court order in place. There's an injunction that's currently in place, and I cannot change that judge's order. Can't do it. I have to
I'm
follow
saying
the
you
law.
said a bond, so how is he?
He can set up, he can be released from incarceration, but he still can't have contact with you.
Okay, so how do I get him released?
How do you pay the fine and go to the bond? How do you pay for the bond? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you can go down to the jail and pay for it.
Okay.
Okay. So any other issues or concerns? Any other issues on behalf of Mr. Griffin?
No, Your Honor.
All right, hearing none, we're going to move forward to the next case then. Thank you for appearing here today. Oh, I'm sorry. He's what? Oh, he's out on bond on another case? Is this the same victim?
It's the same case, ma'am.
Oh, same case?
That's what I was saying. He never should have been arrested to start with.
I'm not going to take any action in regards to that case.
He didn't violate anything, is what I'm trying to say. He didn't violate anything to have been arrested for violation.
In regards to the criminal case, talk to the state attorney because she's the one who deals with the criminal case. And in regards to your injunction, that's a domestic relations judge and a domestic relations case. So you've got two different cases to deal with.
Okay, what he was arrested for right now was violation, which he did not violate.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
The state attorney's office is in contact with you. If you want to speak with your victim advocate, they can help you get some more resources and understanding of where and how this happened. It appears to be possibly an out-of-state injunction, and we would just have to look into that. Like I said, I do not have the number in front of me. We would have to follow up with the sheriff's office about that, but
How he can get violated for contacting when he never contacted. There was no violation there.
Perhaps you can let the victim take a look at, or the alleged victim take a look at the affidavit for arrest warrant for the violation of injunction. That way she can see what the actual allegations are. That might assist her. Okay, the courts have already found probable cause and have already set the bond. So we're going to move on to Kelvin Williams. Next up, we have Kelvin Williams. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kelvin Williams.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Williams?
Christina Smith for Mr. Williams.
Okay, and who do we have on behalf of the state?
Jesse Schuster from the state.
All right, we're here today in regards to a battery and a petty theft. What says counsel for Mr. Williams?
Your Honor, we would ask for a one-time return for Mr. Williams to be able to collect his personal belongings.
What says the state?
the state would agree to that with law enforcement.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000 for battery, $100 for petty theft, no contact with victim, no return to the scene, one-time return with law.
He does qualify for PTR.
I'll just keep the bond.
Okay.
All right, next up is Mr. Alexander. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Algie Alexander.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Alexander?
Christina Smith for Mr. Alexander.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here in regards to Willis. It's a moving traffic violation. What says counsel for Mr. Alexander?
Just one moment, Your Honor. We would ask that the bond be lowered in this case, as it is a Dwillis, and there doesn't.
It's a Dwillis with two priors.
It is a duelist with 2 priors, and it is currently charged as a felony. However, this will likely be, based upon the arrest affidavit, it will likely be downgraded to a misdemeanor because it doesn't appear that these priors he were involved in any sort of driving while under the influence or DUI manslaughter or anything of that type. So we would ask at this time for a lower monetary bond.
Well, I think he's out on bond for possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver.
That's
So what's the state requesting?
At this time, the state would request either the bond stay the same or no bond.
All right, court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $2,500.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Out of bond cases.
Not taking any action on those cases. Next up is, thank you. Next up is John Mar Brenz Parachado. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
I don't have that name.
I'm sure you can spell it much better than I am. I'm having trouble pronouncing it. I'm probably doing it wrong.
They may have bonded, Your Honor, if you could give the inmate number to inmate records, maybe? I don't have them on my docket.
I might just be mispronouncing it.
2201-4039.
Yeah, bonded.
Are you bonded? Okay. Do we have Mr. Alec Clark?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Alec Jordan Clark.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Clark?
Christina Smith for Mr. Clark.
Who's here for the state? All right, we're here today for possession of fentanyl and possession of paraphernalia. What's this counsel for Mr. Clark?
Your Honor, is he eligible for direct pretrial on these charges?
He was already on PTD, so he wouldn't be eligible for this, would he?
Right, he won't be
Yeah, he's not going to qualify because he was already on PTD for possession of fentanyl.
Yes, Your Honor, we would just ask for possibly a $500 bond and $250 regarding the possession and then the possession of paraphernalia charges.
What says the state?
The state would be amenable to a lower bond.
The court's going to set fentanyl at $1,000, paraphernalia at $250. Not going to take any action on the out of bond. Next up is Stanley Creech. Stanley Creech is up next. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Stanley J. Creech Jr.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Creech?
Christina Smith for Mr. Creech.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here today on a failure to appear. 2021 CF 12284. What says counsel for Mr. Creech?
Your Honor, we would ask that the court lower the bond amount on the FTA at this time.
What says the state?
State would request the bond stay the same.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause and bond's going to be $2,000. Next up is going to be John Croustier. All right, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is John Crusetta.
Crusetta, thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Crusetta?
Christina Smith for Mr. Crusetta.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for possession of cannabis and petty theft. What's this counsel for Mr. Crusetta?
We would just ask for a lower monetary bond regarding the possession and petty charges at this time, Your Honor.
He's out on bond on a lot of charges here. Looks like grand theft, third degree of a motor vehicle, grand theft, burglary of a conveyance, petty theft, burglary, grand theft, dealing in stolen property, receiving money from pawnbroker, resisting officer without violence. What's his counsel for the state?
Your Honor, based on the charges that he was out on bond for, we would request a no bond at this time or a higher bond.
The court's going to set bond at possession of cannabis, 1,000, petty theft, 500. The court's going to find probable cause.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Not going to take any action at this time. All right, next up is Sean Davis. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Sean Michael Davis.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here for Mr. Davis?
Christina Smith for Mr. Davis.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here today for a burglary with assault or battery therein. What says counsel for Mr. Davis?
Your Honor, I don't have a narrative other than that this was a. It looks
I've got
like
the
this
warrant. I've got the warrant signed by Judge Dubois, and then I have the affidavit for arrest warrant. You don't have the affidavit for arrest warrant?
I do not, Your Honor. I only have.
Is there any way we can get it to her? Or it's pretty short. I can just read it to you. It's only a paragraph and a half.
All I have is OPD teletype it, OPD teletype confirmation.
All right, here's what we have. It says, on 6/3/2022 at approximately 22:30 hours, I, Officer Hall, responded to 30 North Summerlin Avenue regarding a battery. On arrival, I made contact with the victim, who was identified as, confidential name. That person stated that while working, he noticed a transient black male asking for money outside of the business. The alleged victim stated another employee attempted to tell the male to leave the property. However, he was refusing to leave. The alleged victim stated he clocked into work and went outside and told him to leave the property. Alleged victim stated the male refused to leave and attempted to enter the business. Alleged victim blocked the door and told him he was not authorized to enter the business. At this point, the transient male then struck the alleged victim twice in the face with a closed fist. Alleged victim stated he did not give the transient male permission to enter the business, nor did he permit him to put his hands on him. Alleged victim stated that transient male was a black male wearing a Burger King polo shirt, black pants, and a black backpack. He was identified approximately 5'10", 160 pounds. I observed the surveillance video, which corroborated the alleged victim's story. I observed the transient male to be inside the curtilage of the business when he struck the alleged victim in the face. Through investigative means, the transient male was identified as Sean Michael Davis. A photo lineup was created and served by an independent administrator, and the alleged victim identified Davis as the person who struck him in the face. So that's what we've got from the affidavit for the arrest warrant that was issued by Judge Dubois. So what says counsel for Mr. Davis?
Your Honor, defense counsel would argue that that does not rise to the probable cause standard for a burg bat. And I'm just rolling off the cuff here because I just heard this. A burglary is entering into a dwelling or occupied structure to commit a felony therein. It appears at this time the only thing that was happening was a trespass, which is a first-degree misdemeanor. So so there would be a battery and a trespass. We would argue that it is not a burg bat.
What says the state?
The state would say that we would request a 24-hour reset to get more information from the officers that asked for the warrant.
All right, the court's going to go ahead and grant a 24-hour reset. In the meantime, what is the state requesting in regards to bond?
At this time for the burglary with battery, we would request either a no bond or a high bond at this time.
And what says counsel for Mr. Davis?
Your Honor, because there is the possibility that there is not probable cause for the charge per the affidavit, we would ask for a lower monetary bond at this time.
All right, I will set the bond at $2,500, no contact with the victim. And then also, I'm going to keep the surrender all firearms with ammo to the sheriff within 24 hours of release. That was a part of the initial warrant signed by Judge Dubois. All right, and we're going to hear this case back up again tomorrow unless he bonds out. And no return. I'm not going to take any issue with that today. So we'll see Mr. Davis again tomorrow unless he bonds out. Do you want me to keep this?
If you don't take any action.
All right, in regards to, next case, we have Latani Desir. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Latani Desir.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for for Ms. Desir?
Christina Smith for Ms. Desir.
Who's here for the state?
Stephanie Schuster for the state.
Okay, we're here today for grand theft, third degree of a motor vehicle. What says counsel for Ms. Desir?
Your Honor, does this qualify for direct PTR?
Yes.
We would ask at this time that direct PTR be granted for Ms. Desir.
What says the state?
The state would not oppose.
Okay. Go ahead and order direct PTR.
Any release conditions?
No contact with victim, the owner of the vehicle. Next up is Ms. Green Jones.
Mental health, Your Honor.
That's a hold?
Mental health.
Mental health hold. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, does the Public Defender's Office want to waive her appearance or do you want to call it up tomorrow?
Your Honor, we are comfortable with waiving.
All right, I'll appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Ms. Green Jones, who is here for the state.
Stephanie Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for grand theft of motor vehicle, burglary with a dwelling or structure or conveyance, armed, trespassing, armed structure or conveyance, resisting officer, larceny, petty theft in the second degree. What says counsel for Ms. Green Jones?
Your Honor, we would ask that that those cases where bond has been granted, that those stayed, and in the for the one count of the burglary, dwelling or structure, conveyance, armed, we would ask that a reasonable bond be set at this time.
What says the state?
Based on the facts and the charge alleged, the state would request a high bond or no bond.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond for the grand theft of motor vehicle at $1,000, burglary of a dwelling structure, conveyance armed at $3,000, trespassing, armed structure $1,000, resisting officer $500, larceny, petty theft $250, no return to the scene, no contact with victims.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next up is Mr. Guerrero. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
John Guerrero.
Go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Guerrero?
Christina Smith for Mr. Guerrero.
Who's here for the state?
Stephanie Schuster for the state.
Great, we're here for carrying a concealed firearm charge. What says counsel for Mr. Guerrero?
Your Honor, we would ask at this time that bonds be lowered or to a lower monetary bond or stayed.
What says state?
State, in this case, would agree to a lower bond.
All right, court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm not going to take any action on the possession of more than 20 grams of cannabis PTD. All right, next up is Marvin Hill. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Marvin Isaiah here.
Your Honor, I don't have a affidavit for him.
An affidavit for insolvency?
Oh, no, or, I don't have an arrest affidavit for him, but he's telling me that he was in here yesterday.
Yeah, I had a court date scheduled yesterday that I was in here, but I was in jail. So I didn't want to get an FTA because I had a scheduled court date downtown.
Anyway, I don't have an arrest affidavit, for Mr. Hill.
Is there any way we can get one to her? Can the state email, perhaps?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I'm not, okay.
You sent it?
Oh,
All right. Can you just let us know once you receive the document? It's been sent. It's been sent to you. Just want to make sure you've actually got it.
I have received it. If I can have just one moment to.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Defense is ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we're here today for robbery armed with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and petty theft. What says counsel for Mr. Hill?
We would ask at this time that monetary bonds be granted in these matters.
What says the state?
the state would ask for a higher bond or no bond in this case.
Court's going to set bond at count 1, $2,500, count 2, $2,500, count 3, $250, no contact with the victim.
Thank you.
No action on the possession of cocaine or criminal mischief.
Your Honor, could we have a no return to the scene?
Well, I think the scene was a tent. So, like, what particular area are you asking for?
I just want the location, which appears to be an intersection of West Central Boulevard and North Cherry Ave, just in case the victim has
All right, no return to the intersection of,
It's the intersection of West Central Boulevard and North Terry Avenue.
West Central Boulevard and North Terry.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Mr. Holt.
Your person, Your Honor.
I'm sorry? Is Mr. Holt with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name, please.
Eddie Jerome Holt.
Thank you. All right, we're here today on a moving traffic violation, Dwellis, and no motor vehicle registration. I've appointed the Public Defender's Office to represent you. What says counsel for Mr. Holt?
Your Honor, we would ask at this time for a lower monetary bond regarding the Dwellis.
What says the state?
State would agree to a lower monetary bond.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $100 for the moving Dwellis and $100 for the no motor vehicle registration.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next up is going to be Tervel Jackson.
Bonded, Your Honor.
All right, he bonded.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next up is going to be Omar Jones. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Omar Jones.
Thank you. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Jones?
Christina Smith on behalf of Mr. Jones.
Who's here for the state? Right. We're here today for 3 counts. I won't state them on the record. Mr. Jones is aware what he's in on. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So what says counsel for Mr. Jones?
Your Honor, we would ask that bonds be granted at this time. The only information that I have regarding these charges is that he was transported from Texas to the Orange County BRC.
What says the state?
Your state requests one moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Based on the severity of the charges alleged and the fact that the state had to submit an extradition order to Texas in order to prosecute this case, we would ask for a no bond at this time.
Is the state intending to file a pretrial detention motion in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would be filing a pretrial detention motion in this case.
What says counsel for Mr. Jones?
And then we would just ask at this time, Your Honor, that a copy of that pretrial detention motion, as soon as it is filed, be forwarded to the Public Defender's Office and a hearing held within 5 days.
All right. Court's going to find probable cause, issue no bond for those 3 counts, and go ahead and file that motion so that can go ahead and be set in front of a hearing in front of the judges assigned to. Right, next up is going to be Ms. Lee.
Bonded, Your Honor.
Bonded, okay. Next up is going to be Mr. Merced Loreno? Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Joseph Marcet.
Who's here on behalf, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Merced Loreno?
Christina Smith on behalf of Mr. Merced Loreno.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for several cases. The first is possession of cocaine and possession of paraphernalia. Second case is violation of probation, and third case is violation of probation. What says counsel for Mr. Merced Loreno?
Your Honor, we would ask for the possession charges to be stayed at bond, and that bond be granted in the VOP cases.
What says the state?
Based on the violation of probation, the state would be asking for no bond this time.
For the two, I'm going to find probable cause for possession of cocaine and paraphernalia. Bond is going to be $1,000 for cocaine, $250 for drug paraphernalia. I'm sorry, $100 for drug paraphernalia. And I'm going to do no bond for the two violations of probation.
Just one.
Oh, I'm sorry, just one. They printed it out twice. All right, sorry, just one.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next up is Mr. Pena. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Carlos Pena.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Pena?
Christina Smith for Mr. Pena.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
Thank you. All right, we're here today for grand theft, third degree. What's this counsel for Mr. Pena?
Your Honor, we would ask that bond be stayed in this matter.
What says the state?
Your Honor, the state would agree.
Okay. Bond's going to be stayed. Any other issues to address? No return to the scene as per the warrant. Not going to address the out on bond. All right, we're here. Next up is Miss Powell. Do we have Miss Powell? Go ahead and state your name for the record.
My name is Martha Powell.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Miss Powell?
Christina Smith for Ms. Powell.
Thank you. All right, we're here today in possession of cannabis. What says counsel for Miss Powell?
Just one moment, Your Honor. My apologies. Your Honor, is she eligible for direct PTR in this matter?
No.
Okay. Then we would ask for a lower monetary bond.
What says the state?
Your Honor, the state would be agreeing to a lower bond in this case.
Court's going to find probable cause. Bond is going to be at $100. Next up is Mr. St. Louis.
Behavior, Your Honor.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and recall him tomorrow then.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, next up is going to be Thomas.
Refusal, Your Honor.
Okay, we're going to call him up again tomorrow then. Next up is going to be Torres Carsona. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Andres Torres Cardona.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Torres Carsona?
Christina Smith for Mr. Torres Carsona.
All right, we're here today for, and who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here for possession of fentanyl, possession of cocaine, and trespass on property after a warning. What says counsel for Mr. Torres Carsona?
Is he eligible for PTR in these matters?
No.
Your Honor, then we would ask for a lower monetary bond at this time.
What says the state?
He is out on RR for prior charge. The state would not mind a lower bond on the possession charges, but still ask that there be a bond.
All right, court's going to find probable cause. I will do bond for $1,000 for possession of fentanyl, $500 for possession of cocaine, and $250 for trespass on property after a warning. No action on the petty theft with 2 priors. All right, next up is going to be Mr. Washington. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Hello, I am Darius Washington.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Washington?
Christina Smith for Mr. Washington.
Who's here for the state? All right, we're here today on possession of methamphetamines, possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, and trespass on property after a warning. What says counsel for Mr. Washington?
Your Honor, we would ask at this time that lower monetary bonds be set in this matter.
What says the state?
The state would not object to a lower monetary bond, but he is out on bond for another charge, so we would request a bond in this case.
Court's going to find probable cause, $1,000 for possession, $1,000 for possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, $500 for possession of methamphetamine, and $250 for trespass on property after warning. No action taken on the trespass after property. He's currently on bond for. All right, next up is Mr. Williamson, Jaleel Williamson. I'm sorry?
Refused.
Refused? All right, we call him back up again tomorrow. All right, next up is Mr. Castillo Ormarez. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Bonded.
He bonded? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Costin? Farion Costin?
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Darian Costin, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to speak.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who is here on behalf of Mr. Costin?
Christina Smith for Mr. Costin.
Who's here for the state?
Joseph Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here today for a no valid DL. What says counsel for Mr. Costin?
We would just ask for a lower monetary bond at this time, Your Honor.
What says the state? Court's going to find probable cause, bond amount $100. Not going to take any action. All right, next up is going to be
I'm sorry, Your Honor, can you repeat that bond amount?
$100.
$100. Thank you, Your Honor.
Next up is James Espeso. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
James Espeso.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Espeso?
Christina Smith for Mr. Espeso.
And who's here for the state?
Joseph Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here today for larceny, petty theft in the first degree, $100 or more. What says counsel for Mr. Espeso?
Your Honor, we would ask for a lower monetary bond at this time.
What says the state?
State would not oppose lowering the bond.
You're on bond.
Yes, he's got a Duelis case that he was out on bond for. All right, the court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $250.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We also have traffic cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
What says counsel for Mr. Espeso?
We would just ask for the lowest possible monetary bonds.
What says the state?
State would once again ask for would agree to a lower bond just so as long as there was a bond.
All right, it's a non-moving traffic violation, 3 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and set it bond for $100 each, 3 counts. And no action on the existing cases out on bond with.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next up is going to be Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Roosevelt Michelle. Thank you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Roosevelt Andrew Michelle.
Right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Michelle?
Christina Smith for Mr. Michelle.
All right, we're here today for no valid DL, violation of probation. 2 of those. What says the state? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and state your name for the record first. All right, first, what says counsel for Mr. Michelle?
Your Honor, we would ask for the lowest possible monetary bond with regard to the no valid DL, and we would ask for bond to be set on the violation of probation.
What says the state?
State would not oppose a lower bond for the no valid DL. We would request no bond for the violation of probation.
Find probable cause. I'm going to do no bond for the violations of probation, and I'll do $100 for the no valid DL. And next up is Mr. Parsons. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Richard Anthony Parsons II.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Parsons?
Christina Smith for Mr. Parsons.
Who's here for the state?
Just for the state.
All right, we're here today for a failure to appear, failed to appear for trial. What says counsel for Mr. Parsons?
We would just ask that the lower monetary bond be set in this matter.
What says the state?
The state would request the bond stay the same.
Court's going to find probable cause and set the bond at $1,000. Next up is Mr.
Okay. So it'll be $100. Yes, bond's going to be $100.
Next up is Mr. Pratt. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Lamonte Tayshion Pratt.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who is here on behalf of Mr. Pratt?
Christina Smith for Mr. Pratt.
Who's here for the state?
She's here for the state.
All right, we're here today for failure to appear for trial. What says counsel for Mr. Pratt?
Your Honor, we would ask for a lower monetary bond. In this matter, the underlying charge is to operate in a vehicle without a valid ID. And the bond amount is currently set at $8,000.
What says the state?
The state would agree to a lower bond, but still ask possibly half what it is.
Court's going to find probable cause and set the bond at $4,000. Next up is going to be Ms. Fox.
Medical, Your Honor, outside medical.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call this up tomorrow. Next up is Mr. Loreno, or Laureano. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jesus Manuel Laureano.
Thank you. Go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Laureano?
Christina Smith.
Who's here for the state? All right, we're here for possession of prescription drug without a prescription. What says counsel for Mr. Laureano?
If I could have just one moment to speak with him, there is an offer that I have not yet conveyed in this matter. It'll just take me a minute, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just have to.
What would your client like to do today?
Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to go ahead and proceed with setting bonds. We would ask for a lower monetary bond, though, in this matter.
What says the state?
Your Honor, the state would ask the bond stay the same based on defendant's history.
We're just going to find probable cause and I'm going to set the bond at $500.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And no action on the out of bond possession of cocaine case. Next up, we have Mr. Romero Lopez.
Refuse, Your Honor.
All right, we'll call him up tomorrow. Next up is Mr. Terrell.
Mental health, Your Honor.
All right, call him up tomorrow.
If I could have just a moment to see.
Okay. It's a petty theft for Mr. Terrell.
Your Honor, we'll just reset and we'll see him tomorrow.
Okay. Mr. Acevedo, I'm sorry, Mr. Acevedo.
Mental health also, Your Honor.
Okay. Reset for tomorrow.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Mendez.
Refuse, Your Honor.
Okay, reset for tomorrow. Next up is Narvaez Rodriguez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Xavier Narvaez.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Narvaez Rodriguez?
Christina Smith.
Who's here for the state?
Jesse Schuster for the state.
All right, we're here today for out-of-county warrant. What says counsel for Mr. Narvaez Rodriguez?
Your Honor, we would ask that bond be set in this matter. This does appear that it is a charge that is entitled.
I'm sorry, in what?
This does appear that it is a matter that would be entitled to have bond set as soon as Mr. Narvaez Rodriguez is brought before a judge, so long as conditions were set on that bond.
No. No.
And
What says the state?
Your Honor, the state would ask for some clarification. Which charge is the warrant? I don't have a copy of that.
It's 22 CF 1401, domestic violence, battery by strangulation.
Due to the nature of the charge, the state would request a high bond as well as a no contact with victim.
All right, the court is going to find probable cause, set a bond for $5,000, no contact with victim.
thank you, Your Honor.
Next up is Mr. Betts. Do we have Mr. Betts?
Behavior, Your Honor.
All right, call him up tomorrow. Do we have Mr. Davis? Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Drake Aaron Davis.
I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Mr. Davis?
Christina Smith for Mr. Davis.
Who's here for the state? All right, we're here for several cases. Violation of probation, possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, resisting officer without violence, possession of paraphernalia, failure to appear. What says counsel for Mr. Davis?
Your Honor, we would ask at this time for monetary bonds to be set for the violation of probation, and then that the bonds be stayed for the possession.
What says the state?
The state would agree with staying the bond. We would ask for a no bond on the violations of probation.
Court's going to find probable cause. There's going to be no bond on the violations, and the bond will remain the same for the possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, resisting without violence, and possession of paraphernalia. And the failure to appear, keep it 500. I believe that's the last client that we have for today. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
Has no weapons of no 120.
And then also no weapons as well.
Which case is that?
1206.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and go off the record then. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have the IT?
Thank you to all of my patrons, members, and supporters. You are the reason that I am able to upload new Bond Courts daily. All members and patrons receive access to the Bond Court Discord server. Please send me a message on Patreon or leave a comment on YouTube if you are unable to join the server. Thank you all for your support.